Hello, everybody. It's Friday night. It's 7 o'clock. It is time for the Weekender. And what a jam-packed show we have for you this week. There's a whole world to visit, including an old one returned. There's even one to be won. The way to do it is to comment on this video on tabletop.com. Not on the YouTubes, but over on the website. If you do so, you may be in with a chance to win a whole board's worth of sci-fi terrain, scatter, runes, craters, and even some massive man-eating plants from Mantic Games as part of TerrainFest 2023. So pop a comment below, and if you feel like doing all the social stuff, please go ahead. It costs you nothing and helps us out. Otherwise, sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben Shea and Justin. Hi,
Hello.
Justin.
Hello.
What an unusual top you have on there. Is that yellow, ochre, brown? What colour is that? Orange? You look like a tangerine.
Well, hang on. It's Halloween, so I'm pumpkin-y.
Okay.
Pumpkin spiced Justin.
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh, Jinx. You owe me a Coke.
It's not right. That's not what it is. It's
dear.
not right. Surely you're from Northern Ireland. You should be in some sort of turnip colour. Purple fading through to sort of a beige.
I'm going to get one for next year just for badness.
I look forward to seeing it. Anyway.
Is it purple on top or white on top? I don't
Purple
eat
on top.
turnips all that much.
All white fading through to purple, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the right places.
Right. Okay. Let's not divulge into whole root vegetable argument. We are here to bring you up to date with everything that's been happening in the week in gaming. However, we have one more important thing about next week. Because next week is the last week for Shattergrounds campaign.
Yes.
So it actually finishes this weekend, and then we'll have the wrap up sort of midweek next week, I believe, with myself and Killian. See how people have been getting on. If you haven't been frolicking in the wonderful world of Concilium, it's all going beautifully. Don't worry about it. We're all fine here. How are you? But there are things aplenty moving on in life. So phase 1's all been locked off. Phase 2 is currently being fought over. As you can see, some doing very well, some a bit borderline, and some as tight as a gnat's chuff. Hugh Jing and JSA are having a bit of an old ding-dong in the Energy Research Centre. Look at that, only one in it. One in it.
Get those battle reports in.
Go JSA, go. And they just squeaked a win in the first phase of there as well. So interesting to see how that one will break down.
Yeah, although in Montreal, or sorry, Montalban,
yes.
it looks like they won really well there.
Like Ricardo.
Okay.
Here. That was the. I mean, well, 7 in it. Still just squeaking through. So it's not a massive win. It's not a storming away with it victory like some of the other filth has. Like that. Look at that. Adriana, 30 ahead of their closest. That's how you do it. But yeah,
Some gusto.
you can get in there and have a nosy around. The most interesting thing for me was whenever you look at who's fought who, and very little direct Hu Ching, super fantastic great, against JSA. They've all been poking the bear in other places. So JSA up against the combined, Hu Ching against Nomads. There's some Pano getting involved where they shouldn't be involved.
Why are you here?
Pano, please go home.
Yeah.
If all you're going to do is hand a victory to Hu Jing, we definitely don't want you there. Just shuffle off this mortal coil. And you can go into any of these and have a nosy around as well and see how they go. I've plucked out one of my favourites. I'm not going to lose to you or anyone else. It comes with mood music, So you can just play that.
Nice.
It's just like 8 minutes of whatever this genre of music is. It's not metal, so I don't know. Purple Alien music. But then the rest of it is done like this. It's like one of those computer games, like what you have.
Like a
where
JRPG.
The little thing
That's
comes in.
amazing.
I like
Yeah.
this.
And you get your blow by blow up top, and then keep moments of that phase acted out between these two characters.
That's cool.
My particular favorite is where are we? Are you hurt, you Jimbo-san? Don't worry, 'tis but a flesh wound. It's only a scratch.
Don't worry, Yasuka Dono. Tis but a flesh wound. Yeah.
So, yeah, even if you're not, even if you're not playing, I'm not gonna just please don't. Even if you're not,
I can't believe you
playing
just
the cat in the Shattergrounds campaign. I'm just ignoring them. If you ignore them, they'll all stop.
There's
You can still go in and have a look.
about Uwu in there, so
Yeah, still.
But it was an unironic one, which makes it so bad. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, that's just yeah. End of the week then. Not going to say any more about it. All railroaded over me, so I'm just going to railroad over you. This week, we're going to take a look at Mantic, specifically because it's TerrainFest, and therefore we're going to have a look at their TerrainCrate, the aptly named TerrainCrate, for dressing your tables, or in some cases building them all together. So they have 3 sections, and we'll start with one of my favorite ones because I use it a lot for The Walking Dead. This is their modern and post-apocalyptic. So the TerrainCrate stuff, the majority of it is a sort of PVC. It's a robust thing. However, every now and again you will find something that isn't. So, for example, that street scatter set in there. The cars and trucks are hard plastic,
right?
Because they're the ones from The Walking Dead. The barricades, I think, go back to being PVC, but it's a great way of filling a table. Or as we've been looking at other kits like Sarissa recently and stuff like that, or War Cradle last week, where we're going, you've got these really nice shells, and maybe they come with 1 or 2 things like a magnificent organ or a train tracks or whatever, being able to go in and then furnish the building if you're going to be playing as a skirmish game where you want terrain inside them. You're not just moving in and out of buildings, but you actually need to be able to hide whenever something terrifying is coming your way, like that teddy bear. Then being able to decorate in lovely pastel pinks. My parents had a sofa set not dissimilar to that.
Reminds me of my grand's house.
In the late 70s. So, yep.
I mean,
slightly more red in color.
If you want to go blind, you can paint it up like grandma's curtains.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot to be said for paisley pattern.
Yeah.
Not anymore is the first thing I would say about paisley pattern. Please go away. But yeah. So the modern stuff, obviously, good for things like Spec Ops and Walking Dead of all its ilks and flavors. However, when you start to get into some of these other bits, like the village cafe, the town square, the church,
I like the hospital ward.
These obviously would work very well for anything World War II-ish. So if you're playing bolt action, if you want to go ripping up the streets of Paris, you can do that. And oh my God, I've got so much of this. What can I say? Fish bite hooks. And when I see terrain like this, it was like, yeah, sure, I'll have that. Look at the rattan chairs.
Yeah. It's the kind of stuff that you don't think you need, and then you see it and you're like, well, why have I not got that?
Yeah. There's only so many knocked out vehicles or whatever you can put on a street as line of sight blocking before it becomes insane.
Yeah.
I just go, what is this? Is this, is this 1940s French countryside, or is this the local multi-story car park in 2000 odd, where there's 150 cars smashed up there? So I think these incidental pieces make far more sense, especially if you want to do something like an Operation Sea Line, or we played Operation Sea Line and also played a Chicago Way spin-off and a Peaky Blinders style, but about 10 years before Peaky Blinders came out, set in London. So we had little phone boxes and stuff kicking around. And it's just the set
the most
dressing.
British of all the allotment set.
Yeah. And there's even a lovely little squirrel statue.
Of course, just for Jerry.
So
Yeah.
who knew? Look,
It's
you two could have
Arkwright's store.
Arkwright's, exactly. You know what the really annoying thing is for some of this,
cash machine.
not all of this. I think some of the more modern ones, they actually have empty shelves, but then you have little tiny sets of cans and stuff, so you can dress the shelf your own way.
That's
So, so you two can sit and paint many cans of baked beans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the camp and the hospital.
The
I think
camp's
they're
great.
perfect for zombie stuff. Yeah.
As is the cityscape.
I see your empty shelves.
There's your empty shelves, and then there's the various groceries that you want to stick on it.
Nice.
Oh,
Great
there's
for
even
the-
wet floor signs to hit people with.
Yes, and a cleaner's cart and stuff. I mean, and these, my own personal favorite, because I've had these out on games of Dead Zone, is the arcade machines, because they are, where are you lurking? Onwards? Yes, onwards. A nice rack of jeans there.
Yeah.
Very GTA.
Building not safe, don't worry about it. So the actual
Oh, brilliant.
arcade
Nice.
machines, Dead Zone and Dreadball.
That's
Dread-
amazing.
A Dreadball
Very
is one of the
nice.
big old ball pad ones where you have to spin it to move, which I just think is great. They don't do those anymore. Do they have arcades anymore?
Yeah, most
Yeah.
cinemas do, but it's mostly ticket machines where, oh, look, I got 50 tickets. What's the best prize you have? 200,000. Oh,
Oh.
Weird.
I
They'll
like
never
the
catch on.
forklift there as well. That's great.
Yeah, we
Nice
forklift
little
stinky.
pieces.
And shockingly, because a lot of this, there's that PVC, so they don't have to worry about getting out of a hard mold. They come as one piece.
Mhm.
Occasionally, it'll mean that it's multiple parts that have been assembled in the factory, but literally you just take it out. If you need to straighten it, you straighten it out and then move on with your life, because it's
Yeah.
good to go. So
Yeah.
the fact I don't have to assemble that, you don't have to assemble the cars or the trucks or anything like that either.
The thing that I always like about scatter terrain and stuff like this, which kind of adds narrative to tables, is that especially if you're playing something skirmish based, so around sort of like 10 models per side or whatever like that, they tend to be very story focused and narratively driven. And so having stuff like this is great for encouraging players to do something that you wouldn't necessarily do. So maybe they arrive at this campsite and then all the zombies start popping out the tents. Instead of shooting the zombies, maybe the player goes, can I shoot the gas canister and see if it'll blow up or something like that? And you'd be like, let's come up with a rule for how that works, kind of thing. And I really like that kind of thing because it sort of engenders different styles of play, which is good. So
It's also very handy. I mean, this set in particular, the very first scenario in The Walking Dead, starts off at the campsite. So having they've got little cardboard top down, because essentially it's just a little sort of randomly skirmishy board game. But replacing all of those with actual 3D bits is cracking.
There's even a killer duck.
Yeah, there's a killer duck. Worse
Zombie duck.
than that. They're going to get ants.
Oh, yeah. No
Oh.
drink
I
element
mean,
of those.
honestly, I'm just looking at that merry-go-round. I remember those from whenever I was a kid and getting flung off them.
Yes.
It's the best way.
That means you can draw the zombies towards it and then get someone to fling it round and send them flying. There you go.
There was one I saw recently. Someone actually spun a rope around the central axis and then hooked it up to like a car. Guy jumps on, car drives off, and it's just like whoop, whoop, whoop. Did not end well.
I can imagine.
There's a couple of other pieces before we disappear completely from the moderns. So like I was saying, you can use this for World War II.
There are those chairs again.
So there chairs, there's a bike. Like I used that as for jerry can to look at different washes and speed paints.
You did?
I did, yeah. It also has one of the little guard huts that's been unfortunately exploded. They do another set that has the guard huts and a little barrier, I think even a dog. So if you want to drop stuff in. So this is obviously a lot of scatter. They do also do some buildings for that modern Americana look.
Yeah.
So these originally came out for Mars Attacks way back in the past.
Red brick buildings, yeah.
Red brick buildings uses the same clip system that their Dead Zone / Firefight
I was about to ask about that.
system does. So they're all 3-inch squares or half or round parts thereof.
Very modular then.
But you can build it pretty much any way you want. And it's really nice. I mean, this is all hard plastic, including the scatter in this one. So the
really
good bins and seats and that sort of thing. And even though they've got it set up in sort of a 3-set building there, you can make them smaller, make them larger, stack them all up, go nuts.
Yep.
There's even a chain link fence, but not in this set. I wonder if it can picture. No, I can't see any there. I know that because I've got a ton of it.
But this is stuff that would be perfect for Marvel Crisis Protocol. But
it would work to a certain extent. Obviously, Marvel Crisis Protocol is ridiculous.
40 mil. So
I don't particularly mind that. It's good, nicely themed terrain.
Yeah, I think it'd still be all right.
I'd be happy to say I could get away with that.
Would you? You've got an awful lot of people where the doors are going to come up to their knees and waists. There's an awful lot of people stooping in the Marvel Crisis Protocol world.
But you're not using the doors. You're just, flinging cars at each other.
Oh, that's true.
That is true, actually. Having all the vehicles and stuff would be great because that's the kind of things that you want to be flinging around.
Yeah, chucking at people's heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pickup truck is very simple as an army vehicle as well, with a little saw on top in place of the lights. FYI. Anyway, moving away from the modern, there is also a Fantasy.
Also very nice range.
Yeah. And again, most of them come in boxes of a certain size. So the big ones are 60 and then they go down to sort of small components, which are handy for people like dungeon masters who play incorrectly. Or look, trees. Military campsite. Have a look at that as well. And a pub. Nice. There we go. So it's a little town. You're not going to show me the pictures of what's in the town? No. Oh, I'm not going to stay here, little town. I want to see things, not pictures of things. There's the little trap set.
Yeah.
So as far as I remember, on one side they're textured like a stone tile.
And then you flip them over.
You can then flip them over and then reveal what your people have just stepped on. And then they go, ew. I just stepped on a...
My legs came off.
Pungy pit. Those are cracking.
I really like those trees. Nice gothic options.
Very good for creepy witches.
Yeah.
Or for vampire bats in the spine of the world, Shay.
Yeah.
If you're so inclined to
that one has a face.
I was going to say,
the faces are separate. You can glue them on. I didn't.
You could use those bits and pieces to make your tree men as well if you wanted, I reckon. Like turn them into actual monsters and sort of add bits and pieces on. It could be kind of cool. So,
that's one way of doing it. You just put them on square bases and just go, they have a tree man.
Away you go, yeah.
Away you go. Don't have to do any more work. It's easy enough. They animate when people come close and poke them with sticks. Love the
Old Man Willow.
The military encampment with various packs, bedrolls, and tents. Nice, chunky, robust tents.
Primed to be ambushed.
I would say I'd still use this in The Walking Dead. You just at the Renaissance Fair.
Ren Fair, yeah.
Could do that.
Oh, you could use the Studio Miniatures stuff.
Modernized
really cool
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
The Medieval Mayhem. It's not Studio Miniatures anymore. It's Hayland have it.
Oh, yes, of course.
But yeah, so if you want to do up a camp, maybe a Bretonnian skirmish, who knows? That's very doable.
May become relevant later.
Yeah. Who can say for certain? And the tavern, obviously, being able to stick in barrels and all the other bits and pieces.
Fireplace, yeah.
It just
the start of every good D&D adventure.
Is it all in one piece, or is there broken versions as well, before and after bar fight?
This one's all full. I don't think there's a broken version of the bar.
That's a shame.
Because if there was, I would have owned it, and I don't think I own it.
That'll be something for the next TerrainCrate then.
So, yeah, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. It'll happen in the future. Anyway, so yes, fantasy, moderns, covered, bish, bash, bosh, sci-fi. We shall... Actually, let's go and have a quick chat with me in the studio. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, folks. So, what we have here is some of the upcoming TerrainCrate. So these are 3 separate sets, although with Mantic's TerrainCrates, they come in various ways. We have Katakana 9, we've the Death World set, and we have the Armageddon sector. It allows you to make a variety of things, as you can see, from alien jungles and trees through the ruins and all sorts of things. So we're going to start with the Death World trees, because these are, I think, the real interesting driving force behind the TerrainCrate. This particular sci-fi one was Ronnie's idea that people shouldn't be using the standard railway modelling trees. So no more spruces, pines, fir trees, no apple trees, no oak trees in space. When you're on an alien planet, you should be looking for alien trees. And this is one of the reasons why I backed that Kickstarter, because there was just a ton of weird alien shrubbery that you could play around with. Now, these are modular, and they come pre-built. I'm going to say pre-built, not one piece. Some are one piece, very noticeably, but others are what appears to be a couple of sections that have been assembled at a factory. So you may want to do a bit of cleanup when you get them. There's very minimal mold lines. However, it's terrain, and when you're building terrain, I'm not particularly worried about the mold lines. I know some other people will be, but I'm not. But as you can see, there's a lot of ways you can set up, mix and match all the various types of weird alien shrubbery. In fact, I was looking for ideas for how to paint some of these and came across the Seraphinium Codex, I think it is, which contains weird alien plants, and there's some great color schemes in there. So, as you can see, a whole bunch of robust shrub type things that you can assemble in a variety of ways. And if you can see into the bottom there, there is a little hole on both sides. And they've all got this concave and convex setup so that you can mix and match them, which allows you to do things like this. So obviously, as things stand, these are not dissimilar to what you've just seen. However, I have here some that I've magnetized, which is an option. So those little concave holes can be plugged in with magnets. And if you don't want to do that, you can just go right ahead and just glue them all solid if you've got an idea. But it means you can start playing around with how you build your alien shrubbery. And one tree can become a different tree, can become a mighty majestic forestry. Oh, that's not going to work there at all. I've gone far too high, have I? Oh no. Apparently physics is still a thing, even in space, and I've got to make sure that the center of gravity is in the right place. But these, I think, are absolutely delightful, because you can build up an alien world really nicely and not worry about the fact that your weird millennia-old alien civilization happens to have built themselves a outcropping right beside a set of willow trees. You know, you can lean into the alien side of things, and if you pop them on one of those little area templates, then you can obviously easily define where my forest begins and ends, which I think is very handy. So the trees, top notch. I say trees. It's as good a word as any. Alien flora. The little neoprene bits you can get separately. So they allow you to do area terrain, and they come in a variety of sizes from, what's that, about 6x6? Let's say 6x6 to 6x4, and then another around the 6x6. Obviously, they're of differing shapes, so you can put two together if you want to make it a bit of a bigger proposition for people to get through your shrubbery. And then just fill your forest, fill your bits. Oh, that's not my magnetized one. That's my magnetized one. There we go. So, alien trees aside, there's also a host of destroyed, demolished world. There's also a really nice overgrown Xenos world as well, which I unfortunately don't have with me today. But as you can see, there's a couple of different pieces here. Again, we've got some neoprene tiles, for want of a better word, so you can mark out your area terrain. But we're going to start off with the craters and the scatter. So there are a set of craters numbering 5. These are hard plastic, sort of vac molded. So they are relatively slight, as if they've been worn out over time. And they've got a lip around them, which you can then use to either blend it into your table, or you can trim that back if it's too large for you. I would flock or blend it to match the table that I've got. The nice thing about that is, because I have some other vac formed craters, this one's on the steep side. It's a relatively new one, which means balancing stuff on it can prove slightly problematic. With the shallower, the more worn down, older craters that have been washed away by the sands of time, they make playing on it much more, a much easier proposition, shall we say. And if nothing else, I'm all for gameplay. So with the scatter, there's a ton of crates, things like these sort of ammo crates or weapon crates, the barrel scatter as well, which are nice, either generic scatter pieces, or they can be good obstacles for people to defend or monsters to try and get around. And then again, there are little incidental pieces, like with the forest, where there are little bits of shrubs. There's even things like a mountain of skulls for moles, which is kind of cool. And then we have the sort of crux of it, the ruined city, the devastated city. Again, a lot of detail in these, but again, that robust, hard plastic. So when you get these, you may find some are bent. You see that? Because the heat's coming out of the mold. To straighten them, all you need to do is get a mug with water, submerge into your mug with water, and then just leave it for a couple of minutes, probably not even a couple of minutes, depending on the temperature of the water. My cup's been sitting for a little while. And it will soften it up, and you can then reshape it. It's not a major issue, because as long as the things are sitting flat, you see how flexible that is now? As long as things sit flat for me, I don't mind if some of these are bent and buckled, because they have been absolutely hammered by a full and frank exchange of views, shall we say. So this twisted girder and this bit of corrugated iron that's been used for potentially protecting them from that, because I can see claw marks on it. So the bend in it makes a nice sort of buckled effect. So what we have here is a out of the bag quick cleanup, and they're on the table. Your whole ruined city and your verdant outcrop of alien world fauna and flora, to get your sci-fi tables looking less like downtown and more like in space, which is a really nice way of doing it. Obviously, these are the most recent products from Mantic for TerrainCrate, and they've done a couple of 6x4 mats as well. One that matches this alien planet, and then one that matches the sort of industrial ruined one. And then there's even a generic green one. I'm not going to call it fantasy, because you could use it for the likes of historical gaming as well, but it lets you mark out your area like rough ground, difficult ground, or forests in a very simple and no complaint way for your tabletop. So, there we have it. That is Mantic's upcoming TerrainCrate, and everything you see on the table, except the ones I've magnetized, are the prize for this week. So back over to me at home. Thank you very much, me. So that's the pre-order stuff, which is also the prize for this week. But there is more beyond that, because this is the most recent. So recent, you've seen it here first. It's not out there yet, folks. Unless you happen to back the Kickstarter, like I did, in which case you've got multiple brown boxes of the stuff, but say nothing, that casual. So sci-fi is obviously, I'll not go back through this because we've just looked at it. The new edition of things like the trees and bits and pieces are really nice. I will have a look at some of the other ones that we didn't see. So the firefight and objective sets, things like that, are great. And there's a whole host of industrial type things. And these, like the previous Mars Attack / Moderns, are the same sort of 3-inch square that you can slam together in a variety of ways. And obviously, spot on for Dead Zone. That's what it's there for. Works for Firefight as well. But I have been told there are other games out there, things like Stargrave, in fact. That would be really handy to have nice little areas, because I mean, there's Stargrave games that start off in pubs and factories and mines, and you're on a whole variety of different planets doing different things. And the nice thing about this system is, if you don't want to glue it and you leave it so that you can deconstruct and reconstruct it, you've got a very modular set for games like Stargrave, where a scenario will tell you you have to be in a bar. Another scenario will tell you there's 4 huts. Another scenario will tell you there's a mining complex, and you can just grab bits and pieces you need in a variety of deconstructed.
So just Lego it
and pop it together whatever way you need to make, a table's worth of stuff, or as big as much as little as you want. Multi-leveled towers, it can all be sort of slammed together that way. Which is handy. And then they also do a couple of different styles within this. So the generic Dead Zone package, I suppose, the generic sci-fi look. They've also got the exploded versions. They have an industrial set then as well that allows you to start doing something a bit more abstract and industrial. So you can add in your pipe work and again, blocking off areas and having line of sight blockers doesn't always need to be the same 15 crates stacked in a row. Sometimes it works. If you're in a massive warehouse, loads of crates work really well. You can do that bit from Crow 2. Just have people jumping from boxes to boxes. Anyway, the alternative is you can put down some generators, pipes, that sort of thing. Even the big conveyor belt, which I love. I've seen them. Somebody had built one where the conveyor belt was running up the side of a building in levels.
You need to do an indie-esque fight on one of those where your plucky hero goes up against some big fellow as it moves around the.
They do have a dwarven. I think it's called a dwarven mine, which is a set of tracks, obviously with little mining carts that you can then just put indie in and push along. But yeah, they also have things like the military side. So apart from industrial, you can build things like landing pads, dropping in 45-degree angles, bits and pieces like that. And then more heavily armored and scaled up pieces for a more militaristic side with sort of defensive weapons and that sort of thing. Those are the mats that obviously we've seen the area terrain in the video. These are the mats that are up for pre-order. So a generic fantasy, the sort of industrial, and then the mad, crazy alien world one with all the colors. Now, I believe these are limited edition. They may or may not be a constant on the web store in the future. So it's one of these, if you fancy it, get them sooner rather than later. I imagine that it'll be a case of if the demand is there, then it will become a regular feature. But to begin with, they have got it sort of snipped down as limited. And then this, where's the actual Xenos set? I really want to show you the Xenos set because it's one of my favorites.
Xenos Jungle and Xenos Stronghold.
I'll do that because the jungle contains the jungleism. Again, we've already seen the jungleism, but these are overgrown alien runes. Again, for something like Stargrave, bolted on for that because there's whole books written about finding weird alien worlds.
Yeah. Bold endeavors,
yeah.
Seems like a good place for a rebel base, perhaps, as well.
Yes.
I mean, just going to say it. If you're ever trapped on an alien world and you find a temple, don't go in.
Yeah. And if you're a scientist, don't poke.
Leave it alone.
So, yeah.
Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it was fine in Star Wars.
And other times you get that.
That's fine here. That piece, by the way, with the weird gribbly tentacles coming out of it, is a set-in piece. So you can have it with or without when you arrive, as you leave. Right, leave.
I think I would like to order mine without tentacles, if you don't mind.
You can see why they've got the support weapons nearby.
Yeah.
So when that becomes that, activate that.
Yeah.
And get on with your life.
Well, there's a scenario we've just worked out for a game.
Yep.
There we go. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, the TerrainCrate range from Mantic, they've been populating it now for several years. So they did a couple of Kickstarters to get the initial ones off the ground. And it's a really nice set of stuff that has a good balance between detail for people who want to do dioramas and displays and that sort of thing. And then the robustness for the cack-handed members of the community like myself who will constantly drop or occasionally just scrape terrain into a bag and then throw the bag in a corner because it's it's all big, chunky, punchable PVC mostly. So, you know, it's you can, as I often say, you could drop a brick on those bookshelves and they would shrug that off. The hard plastic stuff, probably don't drop bricks on it. But again, you have the choice then between modularity and actually gluing it all shut. Draconis has got a really nice project on Dead Zone and how he's put all his buildings together in the project system. I think he did before TerrainFest, so he won't get anything for that. But if you want to see just what you can do with the TerrainCrate stuff, it's worth checking out. And like I said, that whole table's worth of stuff we've just looked at, that's the prize for this week. One person's going to get full 6x4's worth of sci-fi terrain. There you go. There's your table done. We'd say we don't give you anything. It's so nice. So nice.
Although you are making me kind of want to do a torture test on terrain.
Yeah, well, you go nuts. Use your own stuff, mind you, not use mine. Right. We shall have a quick switch and return with the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right. Ready for the news? Everything old is new again, Ben.
Very true. Yeah. So last weekend, we teased it during last week's Weekender as well, but it was the sort of big Warhammer Day preview for what's coming up over the next little while across the many worlds of Warhammer, be they old or new. And it was okay. It wasn't too bad. I thought there'd be a little bit more pomp and ceremony about it, but was decent enough, I suppose. Mainly because we got to see a little bit more of Warhammer: The Old World, as that was one of the main features that was popping up during the stream. We basically got to see a lot more miniatures, really. So we'd previously seen a fair amount of the Forge World stuff that's going to be coming out in resin over the next little while. But one of the main focal points of the stream was looking at what's going to be done in plastic. So one of the plastic kits is going to be this one. So this is the Royal Pegasus kit for the Kingdom of Bretonia, or the Bretonnians. And it's going to have lots of different modular elements to it. So you can either make the fellow as the Duke, as you can see there, or you can tinker around with all the bits and pieces and the weapons, and you can make a Baron as well, which is very nice. Or you can make a Battle Standard Bearer as well, which is good to see. It's interesting looking at these kits and seeing where they've taken inspiration from, because a lot of it feels kind of. It feels like they've looked at what they've done for sort of Warhammer Age of Sigmar and sort of taken a lot of those design cues through into the model design for these. So, you know, a little bit more of the sort of detail work worked into all the different bits and pieces of it. When you look at things like the helmet and the weapons and all that kind of thing. But then I like that they've still basically gone back to kind of how the old world was developing at the end of 8th edition and before the end times as well. And I think a lot of these models would fit very, very nicely in with the aesthetic that we saw coming through for Warhammer Fantasy Battles at that point as well, which is good.
Sure.
So if you have a lot of armies from back then, these should be a decent fit for that. I think it's quite nice. And it's good to see that they've made a fairly modular hero kit as well, so that if you are looking to build some nice character models on the tabletop, you are going to be able to do that, which is good. I should point out that while this is like the new plastic kit that you're going to be able to pick up, they have mentioned that a lot of the old metal stuff will come back either via made to order or in sort of like sections. So they might do like made to order for like a couple of weeks or whatever, and then switch to another army or another facet of a faction. So if you are looking for other models that would fit into your Bretonnian forces, or maybe one of the other old world armies that they're going to be building, there are going to be opportunities to get your hands on those kind of models. The frequency of that, again, is very up in the air at the moment, but you know, they are looking to bring back some of the old stuff with the new, which I think is quite nice. And yeah, I quite like the look of the Royal Pegasus. I think it's a very nice horse. Very nice
Major vibes of Fear Me Peasant. Look how rich I am. I am so rich. I can afford 2 shields.
Yes. One's for fending off the peasants and one's for fending off the enemy. Yeah. And
I shall use my cheaper shield on you because you are a peasant.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we got the rather nice Royal Pegasus, you can see there, but there were a couple of other characters that were shown off as well.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what the next one is. Oh yes. So we also got another look at one of the spellcasters for your Bretonnian army. So this is your handmaiden. So we'd previously seen a handmaiden model on the back of her lovely unicorn.
Yes.
But this is going to be your foot version as well. Apparently this one's going to be a forge-wheeled resin piece. So it won't be plastic, unfortunately, but will be an option for you to pick up. This will be a trend with a lot of the stuff that's coming out, I think, for Warhammer the Old World. And we'll go into it a little bit more later as we look through the rest of the stuff. But it feels like a lot of the new character designs they're going to be doing fall in line with the way that they've approached other specialist games like Necromunda and Middle-earth and all that kind of thing, where you get a lot of your character figures and all that kind of thing done in the forge-wheeled resin to then sit alongside the plastic stuff. It's kind of what they did with Horus Heresy for the longest time as well, I suppose, really, when you think about it. And it's definitely moving things towards slightly more of a specialist thing.
She looks very familiar. Don't mind me.
She reminded me a lot of the high elf poses that you used to get for some of their mages. But I again, very nice model. I love the addition of all the fleur-de-lis work on the belt and on the cloak as well. I think I love the idea of painting the staff as that kind of marble staff. I think that's really nice.
Is that not lightning?
Well, it might be lightning coursing down it, perhaps. I thought it was like a lovely sort of black marble.
Yeah, it's a black marble.
Okay.
The only thing I don't like is the Mari Parpins floating.
Yes.
I'd have her off that in an instant.
If she was on the ground, I think that would be good.
The foot on rock syndrome has evolved.
Foot on leaf, yes.
So will this focus?
Oh yes, it's very similar.
She's the old lady of the lake damsel.
Yeah.
Ah.
So you staff and everything. She's had it.
So
I've had your stuff. I'm away with it.
Yeah. Things were thrown into the lake. We retrieved it.
Lying dead on a battlefield, going, "I will take everything: your spear, your dress, your little headdress. Yay! I am now as powerful as you."
I do like they've used resin for the characters because you can get the extra level of detail you can't get in plastic. Plastic's just inferior for detail, and I know that's going to annoy people in the comments, and I don't care. It's true.
It is true.
Well, even the actual molding method for resin is different. So
but even things like the they've not gone over the top with the detail on her. She's got that Norman nobility kind of the more Darth there kind of look to just very fine details and things like the face and the
collected hair as well.
The hair and the leather work with the gold insets in it. It's just all very subtle It's nice. I like it.
Yeah. So we had you got that new plastic character.
Old World was. Just saying. Look at it.
So we had the new plastic character, then we got the Forge World Handmaiden, but then we also got some more plastic. Oh, sorry. These are the other characters that were previously in resin. So you will have seen the first one was the fellow on the right-hand side, who was the paladin on foot.
Yes, with his not holding a lantern up behind him. Every time I look at it, I still think he's holding a lantern up behind him.
He's got
hanging off a massive scabbard.
Yeah. But then you had the 2 battle standard bearers. So you had the one on foot and you had the one on the back of the horse. Obviously now you've then got the Royal Pegasus version as well. And then the lovely lady on a unicorn.
I still don't like the design of that unicorn.
I think it's one of the nicest unicorns I've seen from any company ever.
It's a proper hench unicorn.
I mean, it's personal preference.
Yeah. Moving away from that, then we also got to see a new plastic regiment that has been announced as well. So as a lot of people said on social media, wow, it took the world dying for us to get Knights of the Realm on foot.
Well,
with a very odd reliquary.
There were 3. There were 3 metal.
There were. Yes. But now you've got a full regiment of them. So this is going to allow you, as I said in the preview, this will allow you to either represent your knights on foot who just don't want to ride on horses, or perhaps those have been unseated during the midst of a campaign, and they are as
don't like all the random stuff on the helmets.
It's very Bretonnian, but I do think it's a bit odd.
It's classic knight.
Yeah,
everybody has their own heraldry. Their heraldry has a crest. The crest goes on top of the helmet. It's so you know who you're hitting.
I don't necessarily mind. I like quite a lot of the stuff about these miniatures because they've got both the either polearm axe style weapons, or you can go sword and shield with these. And I like the weapons. I like the armor design, and I like the tabards and stuff that they've got on. The thing that I'm not a fan of, and I don't know whether it's just me or just maybe the way they've been painted, is the helmet design. The helmet design to me feels very bucket. And there doesn't seem to be enough. I mean, you can see on the fellow on the back right, he's got a nice angular element to the helmet, which I think is great. But the others just look a little bit like shovels on the front, which I know existed as helmets, but everyone seems to have that.
He's my least favorite. Back right, and I'll tell you, it's twofold. One, the other Bretonnians and even the heroes have a very specific classical style great helm.
Like that chap, I really like his style of helm on the right. That kind of the front angular element.
And that was more or less what all of the old Bretonnians had in their last iteration. Smashing, good, happy days. And then we hit this guy, and he's got a weird, it's almost like the bottom half of a bassinet or something like that coming forward, that the rest
so are... So a gorget that's came up too high?
Well, no, even a helmet type, it's like a bassinet that comes forward, but then he's got a little flower pot on his head that somebody's painted silver. It's just like he's got a fez. It's a fez on top.
It is a fez.
And it looks so weird compared to the rest of them who have more distinctly, I mean, that's push forward another several, I know it's fantasy, but push forward armor type another several hundred years to get that type of beak. I don't know why they didn't do it top and bottom.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't mind these.
Maybe he had a halfling as his armor.
I might mind him.
There is another one he's got behind in the middle here.
Rig on there. He just needs the big
helmet
to tighten up. Yeah. Why has he got that?
But I think they look really nice. In the next image should be the sword and shield versions. I think they look quite nice.
Okay, why does this person just have a statue on their head on the right? Literally just a statue on your head.
They really, really, really like the lady.
This guy, it's like he's took a bloody Barbie doll and stuck it on his helmet.
Yeah. It's bling. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I have to make my helmet different. What has no one stuck on their helmet before?
Yeah.
I don't think you appreciate just how ridiculous real helmets were with crests. These would not look out of place in any way, shape, or form on any actual helm.
Definitely see them on jousting nights.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like I have to go do some research.
Oh, yeah. Just search for any sort of great helm.
Ostentatious medieval
look for
helmets.
Teutonic Knights. They had some absolute stonkers, and they were just mostly big flappy batwing type things. And they were the more restrained Probably because they were Holy Order.
So yeah, so they gave us a very good look at those and what you're getting with that kit. And I think in general, they look quite nice. I mean, that chap with the big winged helm looks very cool. Definitely going to be seeing a lot of people using him to represent character models as well, potentially, in addition to just being a champion for a unit. But it's good to see that they've gone back to the classic thing of what you would get in Warhammer Fantasy. So you've got champion, standard bearer, musician leading a unit into battle, which is always good to see.
Not sure what this lock
I
thing
think
is
it's
going
a
on.
lover's thing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of it because it's on the Lord as well. Lock and key seems to be a repeating
The thing that I was thinking maybe is that maybe it's
Where
like
are
a
you?
promise to the lady and they've attached it to their relics.
Yeah, he's
so
got
they can
on-
carry them into
he's got on
battle.
Or you have to lock in the holiness.
Yeah, lock in that holiness. Keep it fresh.
You have to send somebody around like a janitor every now and again to cut all the locks off so the
Yeah.
guy can actually lift it up. Like they did with that bridge in France. Just come along and just tear them all
All this
down.
love can be gone. But yes, so they also then showed off the rest of the, as they called it, like launch range for the Bretonnians. So this is the stuff that will come out for the Bretonnians in early 2024, a lot for you to collect effectively. So you've got the classic Knights of the Realm are coming back, obviously, because they were an original plastic kit and they're going to be returning. So you got them, and they've been arrayed in lance formation. So you'd assume the lance formation's coming back. One would hope, but we'll see. We then got to see the Men at Arms. So again, another classic plastic kit that's been around for a while, or was around for a while, and that's going to be coming back.
You
So
can
you'll
really
be-
see when it's the older models that are returning.
Yes, yeah.
Oh no, they were always shit. They were worse than the ones that they'd had previous. The old plastic Men at Arms look better. They'd started adding ridiculous things to them.
Frogs
It's like
on
when
the
they
engine.
changed the State Troopers from the Perry sculpts to, I don't know who did the Empire State Troopers, but one of them looked like he had 3 golf balls in his mouth. They just looked terrible.
Yeah, they were a bit weird.
Yeah.
The moustache on the guy in the middle was amazing.
yes.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at that.
Wax
Wax to
to
perfection.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll see how long that lasts whenever they're in the clash.
There's also the Peasant Bowmen, as you can see there.
Yeah.
So you're going to get another big set of them to play around with again, a classic kit that's been around for a while. I know a lot of people have been saying they think there's a massive clash of aesthetics between the two, but I think they match up quite well with the new stuff.
I mean,
don't think
this
they're too
one,
bad.
we couldn't afford to put something fancy on top of our banner, so we killed a bird.
You just killed a bird and stuck it on.
yeah.
Sure. I mean, why not?
One thing that was
Sports are
quite interesting about these sets, and it's a question that I think a lot of people are trying to grasp with, is kind of thinking about the scale and size of the games that they're planning to put together. So someone said that this will come with 32 models in the box. Now, is that 32 models that you're assuming is going to be made into one unit, or is that 2 units of 16 or something like that? I mean, you can see that they've gone with a different frontage here. So most of the time when you're playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles anyway, you'd be playing with 5-man frontages, and then it would go deep, wouldn't it, essentially? So you do 5 and 10s, and then you go deep.
4 men made a rank, but you always used to play with 5 wide, because if you took a casualty, you'd lose a rank. That's the only reason 5 became sort of the default.
But then this is 6. So it's interesting. And obviously it's on a bigger base size.
Well, with archers, I would drop a rank and push that to 12.
Yes,
if I could, because you want double shots. However,
you want as wide a range as shooting arc as possible. So
if the peasantry get the old arrow storm rule that they used to have, where they could fire in additional ranks, then that doesn't matter that it's narrower, because you just go completely ham by firing everything into the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact they've gone for such a, because I mean the original box would have been 20.
20
so
models
the fact
would have
they've
been the
gone
original,
30 odd is interesting.
And obviously
well,
32.
the math does seem to work.
Yep, 32 divisible by 6, isn't it? So so it's
well,
interesting.
the command sprue with jungler there and stuff is separate from the bowman. That's why it's used in both.
Oh yes.
So you've a command sprue of 4 that you need to discount, and then do your math based off the rest of it. Or math,
Are those frogs on his
background.
drumsticks?
They are.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, it was just like, huh?
Someone pointed out in the live stream, maybe that's because there used to be spells where the handmaidens could turn people into frogs.
Into frogs,
so maybe they're they're people that have angered a handmaiden and have now been stuck on the end of sticks.
So there's
Wow,
beaten.
that's some punishment right there.
That's grim.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pegasus Knights coming back as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people remember those. These are I always loved the old horses, especially for like the elves, because they were like the most metal horses.
They all had
the
mohawks
hair.
and a look in their eye like they were flesh eaters when people weren't paying attention. That's why you always keep your eyes on the horse herds.
So you're going to get your hands on Pegasus Knights again. And now this is an interesting one. So the Field Trebuchet would have originally been a metal kit, obviously. But it was also a pain in the ass to put together. So what they've done is they've made this into a Forge World resin kit. So a lot of the stuff that would have been big metal kits back in the day looks like it's going to be transferred over into being plastic ones not plastic, Forge World resin ones for the release of the old one.
Resins are plastic, so don't worry, you're fine.
Well,
with that.
Well, hopefully they don't do it in Fieldcast.
Oh no, it won't be. Nothing is
that.
basically done in Fieldcast anymore. So
that'll be interesting because that was an expensive kit in metal.
Yep, it's going to be expensive in resin.
It's going to be worse in resin.
Well, again, it's getting that Forge World brand of approval, so
now
got to pay that premium for the branding.
Now, the thing that's interesting to me, I was talking about scale of games. Mm-hmm. There was a trailer that they put in. I haven't included here, but it wasn't particularly long. But there was a trailer they put in, and they showed off effectively all of the models that we see here, and they were all sort of bundled together into an army. And the thing that was quite interesting was that even the regiment sizes were fairly small across the board. And I was thinking, because if you look back at the history of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in any area, Joe, but
I will.
When it moved into like 6th, 7th, 8th, we started to see the regiments balloon in size. So you start to see like 20-man, 40-man units, that kind of thing, especially in 7th and 8th, where it was very much a focus on like horde armies and that kind of thing. But before that, your armies were almost, I don't want to, I guess this is maybe the right word, representative in many regards. So you had 10 men in a unit, but it wasn't necessarily meant to represent there was just 10 orcs. It was like a unit of orcs kind of thing.
A unit of orcs, and whatever you choose to interpret that as is up to you. Is it 1 orc per 100 orcs?
Yeah.
Is that you?
And I wondered if they were going to, because the thing they've said in the past is that they're going to be looking at all the editions of Warhammer Fantasy Battles and picking and choosing the best of both worlds. Mm-hmm. And considering the way that they're marketing this as very much a specialist thing, using all the forged resin and that kind of thing, are they going to be making it so that it's a little bit more viable for people to dive into, where you only have to have smaller units of 10, maybe 20 at the max? Obviously, they're offering 32 archers, but is that because they want you to make multiple units of that kind of thing out of that one box? It'll be very interesting to see what they do, because, and it's something that's been raised in other YouTube videos as well, it's a massively hard sell to somebody who's maybe looked at something like Total War Warhammer to be like, here's the game you can play. Don't worry, you now have to spend £400. Whereas if they make it, they make it,
you are lowballing that one, son.
Oh yeah, £1,000. But if you're looking at, but then if you make it so that it's small enough, unit wise and that kind of thing, to build up armies at a relatively a lower cost than normal, then maybe potentially it'll be something that can draw people in. Or are they just going, sod that, don't care? I'm just aiming this at, grognards and nostalgia people who really want to just get the old one back on the tabletop.
Well, do you think it's old hammer for older people? Because older people have more money?
Yeah, I think that might be the case. But
maybe. Have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's something I was thinking about the other day. Now, I don't think they're going to do this, but obviously they've changed the base sizes, which is inconceivably wrong. It is. But to bring game balance back, if anybody in Games Workshop remembers game balance, it's a thing. To make that work, there's 2 ways. Now, that if everything's on the same base size for infantry, you either make Chaos Warriors and Orcs and stuff more expensive, so you field less still, or you make the human type things that would have been on 20mm bases cheaper, so people can field bigger units. And I think that's probably what they'll go for. So whereas you may have seen a regiment of 20 or 16 being the sort of standard unit that was being sold, maybe not fielded, but sold, that might be why they're going 32.
Yeah.
Because then that takes into account the fact that they've changed the bases and you get less or you get more rather to counteract the fact that orcs and beastmen will absolutely hammer the living hell out of them. So it'll be fascinating to see where they draw the line and where they decide to throw the points values in. The fact that they arranged those knights in a lance, I'm hoping, is just because it looks nice.
You don't want formations?
I don't mind formations, but the person who came up with that formation at one point said, we put triangles in a game made for squares. What were we thinking? And that's why they took it away again, because it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare to both maneuver and to work out who was combating who, where, and when, which is why they changed the lance formation to being
Maybe
3 wide.
Yes.
And you got a rank for 3 and you fought the full outside, and you didn't have to go, is this back end of the pyramid, is he, if you draw a line forward, is he hitting? There's no need to bring out little laser lines and stuff.
Yeah, and I suppose with the old turning, where you were turning on a corner, having the whole ass end of a triangle poking out.
Well, no, the bum come up, but because you wheel from the front,
from your front corner.
So your front corner's 1 base wide. It meant your wheel was tiny,
Bing.
and then the whole unit swung round in a big way. It was just bizarre.
So it'll be very interesting where they go. They have released Warhammer the Old World website, but there's absolutely nothing on it. There's a couple of pieces of art that they showed off as part of the preview back at Warhammer Fest, but it's basically just showing that they're taking the same design aesthetics that used to do back in the day.
So here's all the pretty stuff. Wait and see for the rest.
Yeah, they are going to be announcing more stuff in the run up to the end of the year, and they did say that the game is going to be releasing in the early portion of 2024. Now, there was apparently a tweet that went out that was hastily deleted that said February 2024. So,
what have you done, you fool?
So it looks like it's going to be.
Never give a specific date this far out. Yeah. Things may change.
But yeah, it was quite interesting looking at what they were showing off and kind of what they were wanting to do with it all. And it'll be very interesting to see what people think in the comments about the way that they're going to approach the old world. Is it going to be more like that kind of classic earlier edition of Warhammer? Is it going to be something a little bit more like 8th? Will it be a happy medium between the two? And most important of all, are you actually going to get involved with it? Or is it going to be one of those things that's like, it's a nice idea, but I've moved on kind of thing? Maybe.
Give me my Tomb Kings.
They're definitely going to get previewed in the next couple of months.
Worst. So. I have all the armies, Shay.
Right on dead, Jerry.
I just every time she says it, I just hear I am Citra, the imperishable.
Half the reason I'm buying them is just to annoy you now. That's half the reason.
Absolutely the worst. But yeah, the fact they brought Foot Knights back, because Foot Knights, you could have them as a hero upgrade into peasant units to give them better stats. They did just come in full regiments in the same way Reichsguard for Empire used to be able to field full units on foot, and then they removed those and went, no, just get back up on your horse.
So
it looks like they're kind of they're going back and reintroducing units that haven't been around for a couple of editions. I think you're going to end up with probably something more akin to 7th or 8th as a rule set, but then maybe delving back into some of the previous lists, because they started removing units that they weren't going to produce, so that everything in the book had a unit to stop second party people or people buying, like Grenadier models. Or
people buying historical miniatures and using fantasy games.
Not just Bretonnian, but all of them. Yeah. If they didn't have a model, it wasn't in the rule book, or it wasn't in the army book. But now I think they're going, well, we've got these. We need to introduce something new. So even if people were playing 8th and they have a Bretonnian army, well, they might not have Bretonnian knights on foot because they haven't been around for 3. I'm not getting the book now. I think it's 3 editions. I think they went away at the end of 5th into 6th. And at that point,
you will buy something
in
the
new stuff that people have to buy. So I think it's going to be more modern rule set, which isn't great because 8th was a bit. And then older army lists. Anyway, that's my guess. Come back in 5 months and we'll see how close I was.
Exactly.
Bye.
Am I sad or am I happy?
No, he's sad. They changed the base size. It's not exactly as it was before.
That comes down to a balance thing. That's the only reason I'm not sad by that. I'm annoyed by the fact that because it changes balance. But at the same time, if I play Warhammer, I'll be playing one of the other editions. And these days, I'm much more likely to put Kings of War on the table because I can hammer through a big game in no time. Yep. So
it's got an uphill battle.
And I don't have to worry about a blood dragon vampire with Hydra Blade blending his way through a whole unit a turn. That doesn't happen.
Stars of ogres.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they can go away.
Right. So, as well as the look into Warhammer: The Old World, we've also got to look at some stuff for Warhammer 40,000, as you would have expected. And the big announcement was the next season and the next box set for Warhammer 40k Kill Team. So this follows on from what happened with the previous season, where the mighty space hoggers basically now crashed into the planet. And now the new box set, which is called Salvation, is going to be taking place on Beta Decima, where a Farseer has been captured by a Magos, and the Striking Scorpions, one of the elements of the Aspect Warriors, has been sent to retrieve the Farseer from the clutches of said Magos and get out alive. So that means we get a new plastic set of Striking Scorpions that are going to be used for the Kill Team, the Blades of Cain, as you can see there. Interesting looking set. It's obviously good that they're no longer Finecast. Thank the Lord for that.
Did they make a set of Finecast? My last set were metal.
Mine are also metal. But this does also mean that because this unit already exists in the codexes, they can't do anything fancy with the weapons. So they are all just armed with the standard chainswords and shuriken pistols that you would have expected. And then you've got the biting blade and the scorpion's claw and that kind of thing. Yeah. And the Mandy blasters, obviously, in there.
Good old Mandy blasters.
They have put in options for the kit so that you can have them helmeted or unhelmeted. So if you're going to be doing the Ynnari style of Eldar, which is the ones that follow the Code of Death and stuff like that, you can play around with that unhelmeted versions because they take their helmets off to show their faces to the enemies.
So they can be shot in the forehead.
Yes, so
and that's why they've drawn little targets there.
Yeah,
because plot armor.
But then obviously you got all the different options in there for you to play around with to make your unit, and obviously this is going to be available later on down the line for Warhammer 40,000 as well.
They're nice. You know,
I like them.
The thing is, they're not Swooping Hawks, Ben. You're never getting Swooping Hawks.
Well, interestingly. Rumor mill suggests that maybe they're going to be starting to work on the second wave of Eldar stuff, following on from what we've seen previously. So they've done Dark Reapers, they've done Howling Banshees, they've got Striking Scorpions, they've done Shining Spears. Left ones are Fire Dragons, Swooping Hawks, and Warp Spiders.
When was the last time the Guardians updated?
With the
really?
9th edition,
Okay.
they got
fair,
okay.
okay.
Yeah. So I've got some new ones. They're very nice.
Yeah.
But people have suggested, well, if they're going to be looking at Aspect Warriors, that being like a focus of this season, Swooping Hawks versus Vespid from the Tau could be a fun box because you have two flying kill teams.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Cool. I would also be quite happy just to have the Dark Eldar in there as well because they've got with Scourges and
they do
Witches on.
He-Man
and the Master of the Ionus hoverboards.
Yeah.
Green Goblin looking fellas.
Yeah. I am just waiting for Workshop to introduce like a Primaris variant of the Aspect Warrior, something bigger, better, tougher. You know they're thinking about it.
I mean, these are probably not that far away from that already.
Yeah,
but they don't need to. They just go, well, Eldar were always meant to be bigger.
Now the other thing that was quite interesting is that we got Janzar and we got Malgan Ra for the Dark Reapers and the Howling Banshees when they came out, and they were previewed. But we didn't get Karandras shown off as part of the Kill Team set. He's likely to be coming later on down the line when we get to see the plastic kit for Warhammer 40,000. Interestingly as well, when you think about the Striking Scorpions, they had two Phoenix Lords, but one of them moved over to the bad guys. So maybe we'll get more for him. That'd be cool. So yeah, bad.
he had a model. It was terrible.
Going up against the Striking Scorpions. Yes, our little praying mantis boy.
Yep.
Yeah. Going up against the Striking Scorpions, we've got the Space Marine Scouts, as you can see there. So these were previewed back when they announced 10th edition, but they're now available as part of going to be available as part of the Kill Team, and then will be available in 140,000. Just a nice upgrade to the Scouts kit, I think. They don't look like angry babies anymore, which is good to see. armed with all sorts of different weapon options. So you got your bolters, you got your sniper rifles, you got your bolt pistols, chainswords, rocket launchers, heavy bolters, shotguns, everything you could want to make a scout squad, and then fold them into your different armies. If you're going to be doing space wolves, you obviously use these as wolf scouts and that kind of thing. Just change the heads around if you can. And they're going to be a shoe-in for a lot of different armies, building fun kits.
These are multi-part, aren't they? They're not
Yep.
monopose, though.
Yeah, so multi-part, so you can play around with them in all sorts of different ways, which is good. Obviously, some of them will be slightly more prescribed, so things like the heavy weapons will be very definitively.
Well, that's why I'm wondering what's the count of sniper rifles.
I don't actually know what the number of stuff in the box is, but it would be good if they did enough for you to do lots of to maybe 2 5-man squads that could be all armed with the same weapons and that kind of stuff.
Well, that's it, because I mean, nobody wants bolters or heavy bolters in those squads.
No, scouts and sniper rifles, camo cloaks. That's all you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sneak them somewhere away, get them killed,
and go sniping out characters going boom.
Use precision. Yeah.
Bolters and stuff like that. They're only good for Black Templar neophytes.
Yes.
And they're just
which already exist. So yeah. So this is going to be set around the new kill zone, which takes place on an oil rig because the planet that they're fighting on is mostly water, apparently. So that's where you're going to be fighting on all these big rig platforms. Yeah. So the set that you get, the Salvation set, is very much in line with the Warcry sets that we've seen coming out, where you only get a little handful of terrain, which was the previous image. But then you'll be able to buy separately this kill zone. So if you already have loads of kill
piece type things,
so you just get those to make sure that you've got like a very nice sort of narrative set of terrain to play around. But if you don't have any of the previous kill zone sets, so you don't have enough terrain to play the game, you can buy this separately, and then that can just be bolted on. Obviously, it'll cost you more eventually, but it's nice if you want to play around with a different style of gaming table, and I can't wait to push people off into the water.
Well, it is very much your thing. It's your raison d'etre these days, isn't it?
Yeah. This is the Imperium. Skadoosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
For the Emperor, kick off something, falls into a well. There we go.
They've always got a place in my heart, and I like the fact that even after all these years, Jez Goodwin's designs still haven't been messed around with.
Yeah.
This is what Eldar looked like on GWN. Fair enough. It's a fair cop.
Yeah.
And
I really like painting my striking scorpions as well. And I'm kind of mad at myself in a way that I already have a bunch of metal. I have like 10 metal ones, and I'm like, I've painted all these and I don't need striking scorpions, but look at those striking scorpions.
I would like to draw your attention to I believe it's the Court of the Young King.
Yes.
Where you just have nothing but aspect warriors and an avatar to lead them.
But I claimed I am Ben. I don't do
Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming.
True. I'm holding out. I'm holding out for Swooping Hawks. As soon as Swooping Hawks are available, I will buy the shit out of those because I love Swooping Hawks and I love Baharroth.
Shining Spears yet?
I have some old metal Shining Spears that I
confidently predict then Shining Spears, then Warp Spiders.
Shining Spears have already been done.
Take another break. Good long break. Have a bit of a rest.
Warp Spiders might be getting an Exarch as well because obviously they haven't had one.
They've never. They've only had 3 models, and one of those was a Watchman-Doodad.
And I would obviously love to see, Fire Dragons returning with a new Fugan model. Oh, so good. So good. But anyway.
Oh, no, they've had an Exarch. They haven't had Phoenix Lord.
They haven't had a Phoenix Lord, yes, right.
Yeah. You dare to dream, brother.
Yes. Anyway. Soon, my Eldar army will no longer be 30 years old. But anyway, so moving on to more 140,000 stuff. These are fairly small previews in the grand scheme of things. So we knew that the new codexes coming out were going to be the Necrons and the Adeptus Mechanicus. And so they gave us a couple of new models previewed for both forces, as well as some details on the codexes coming out. The codexes are just going to be the codexes that you've already seen for 10th. So they're all in the same style. They're going to come with the Crusade rules. They're going to come with all the stuff that you can imagine. So the stratagems and everything spread over the 2 pages, so it's easy to game with and all that kind of thing. And in addition to all the other stuff that you'd expect from them. So nothing massively out of there. But the new models, oh my days. So imitate the Stormlord that we saw there. Cool. I love him. He's even got a nice glowy coat. I love that.
Lovely coat.
Yeah. Nice to see the Finecast model updated. They've also said that the other ones are going to be done. So Trazin the Infinite and Orim the Diviner and stuff, they're going to be coming out in new plastic sets.
Oh, nice.
This guy, the Sidonian Scatros.
Why?
He is right. I will never own him because I don't want to, but he's so Blanche. He is so old school Blanche sketched artwork, and he has a lovely exhaust penis.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wasn't even. I was trying not to look at the exhaust.
Crackfuel fever dream did this come from?
40K.
Exactly.
How 40K is the fever dream. This
Exactly, yeah.
This annoys me less than a lot of other stuff where they've moved to the. I mean, when they did the squats or whatever they call them these days,
Leagues of Votann.
Leagues of Votann. Thank you. Leagues of Votann were so sci-fi bland as to be. Just you couldn't even if you put it in front of me and hadn't told me it was a GW product, I would have went, "Oh, there's a new sci-fi game coming,
43 or whatever." Yeah.
It had nothing. It shared nothing with the 40K universe. They still don't. They're still, as far as I'm concerned, hot garbage. Models are beautiful, but they don't fit the design or aesthetic or feeling of the 40,000 universe at all. This, on the other hand, where he's had his legs blown off, and some fella's gone, "Oh, we can make you better. We can make better." Well, how would you like to be taller? Oh, I've always wanted to be taller. It's like, we'll give you a nice gun. You can stand at the back, and you won't have to worry about any of your friends getting in your way when you're shooting.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds fantastic.
We'll give you a sniper rifle and longer legs so you can shoot over buildings.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and like you said, it's very Blanche sketch.
Yes.
And somebody's going, "We will make this," and I'm just going, "Yeah, 100%."
It is.
I'm on board with that.
It is obviously going to be a Marmite model. People are either going to love it or hate it.
Oh, I've already seen some of the. Have you ever seen a giraffe drinking?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yes.
Right. So you know how they have to spread their legs way out. I will have to see if I can find it. Somebody sent me a picture of this, but we'll come back to that. And just bear the giraffe drinking in mind.
So obviously, Imitate the Stormlord going to be a great character. Nice to see him back. He's warring with the Silent King and doing all of his awesome stuff. So it's nice to have him in there. This fellow, the Scatros, can come in two flavors. So he can either use his Giselle to take out infantry stuff, or he can use his Arquebus to take out vehicles. So he's been designed so that he can sort of do both roles, which I think is quite nice. And again, very different, interesting model. I love that basically anything that's been done for the
my work here's done.
Oh dear. Oh my god.
I mean, I'm sorry. You just need like a Beyonce backing track on the go.
Yeah.
Would like to point out they existed.
They did. Yeah.
Historically accurate.
The Adeptus Mechanicus Duck Hunter.
Just don't drop your gun.
Yeah.
But
put it on a little bungee cord.
It's all good.
Oh, you're just hearing all the single ladies, single ladies.
I think we know what the cover image is, by the
way. So yeah, great stuff for both armies. If you're looking to collect those, they should be out before the end of the year. You're going to get your new codex. You're going to get a couple of new models for each. So watch out for those as they come through. And yeah, check out the link down below if you want some more information on what they've been talking about in terms of attachments and stratagems and things. But yeah, fun stuff. But not to be left out, we also got a look at the Mortal Realms, because you can't do fantasy for Games Workshop without going into the future as well. And continuing the Dawnbringers Crusade storyline, we got to see a couple of new characters coming up for the Forces of Order. We'd seen stuff for Destruction previous to this, and then Chaos before that. So one of the returning characters from the very, very first box set of Age of Sigmar is Ionus Cryptborn. Now, he's one of my favorites, mainly because I read some of the lore of around him when it first came out. He's really cool. A lot of people think he might actually be a reincarnation of one of the characters from the world that was in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, which is nice. But
it's also really good at website design.
Ionus, I own that. But yes, this fellow at the end of his sort of first campaign in Age of Sigmar tried to work out a way to stop the reforging curse that affected the Stormcast Eternals, where they lost parts of themselves as they were reforged time and time again. And so he headed off into the realm of death. And that's where he met his new buddy, Cthulhu, the dragon, as you can see there, who was also spent some time in the realm of death and is a little bit more wizened than some of his other fellows that we might have seen in the past. And they have now returned together to lead a new mighty Cryptborn Stormwing, which is a new sort of regiment of round that you can use in Warhammer Age of Sigmar as part of your order force on the tabletop. So you get a new character, a new look of Ionus Cryptborn, and then you get to play around with an entire dragon army, which I think is great stuff indeed. I've had a look at it. It's very low model count. It's also very expensive, as you would have guessed. So if you want a dragon army, prepare to pay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're only going to buy 3 or 4 models, you're going to have to pay the same for a full army as everybody else. Got to play fair.
Yeah.
Who do people think he is?
Gargants. What, sorry?
Who do people think he is in the old world then?
His name escapes me now, but they think he was a death wizard from back in the old world. If someone remembers the name, please put it down below. But yeah,
I shall rack my brain as we talk.
Yeah, but yes, so he's one of the characters. The other character is also Belthanos, the first Thorn of Kurnoth. So if you're looking to run an entire army of Kurnothi hunters on the tabletop, you're going to be able to do that now as well, which is very nice. So Belthanos there comes on the back of his Carnelian Great Spite, which has got kind of like a Firefly vibe to him, which I think is quite nice.
So we get red food colouring from is by crushing them up.
Crush these beetles. Yeah, really nice model. And again, it's good to see the Sylvaneth getting some fun stuff. When I saw the preview, I was kind of hoping we were going to be seeing some Wood Elf things for Warhammer the Old World. Alas, we got to see this. Still nice though. But again, comes with a regiment of renown called the Blades of Belthanos. So if you're looking to use him in a themed force, you can do. Basically, you in the similar vein of other games where they use themed forces, if you select X amount of units in this type, you get a bonus, and then that gets bolted onto your army. So if you're looking to run a particularly themed army in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, they've been very much focusing on that and playing around with that, which seems quite nice. The rules for all of these characters and the different regiments around are going to come in the new book. So Dawnbringers continues with Book 3, The Long Hunt, which will see Ionus Cryptborn return to help the forces of the Stormcast Eternals against the forces of Chaos as they look to scupper the plans of the Crusades as they go out to set up parts of new civilization in the realms and all that kind of good stuff. There's also going to be additional rules in there for playing around with some of the new models that we've seen flying around. So if you're playing with the Fire Slayers, you're going to get to look at their new units and stuff. So that's the new Warcry set that a lot of people know and quite like. That's going to be coming with new rules for you to play around with the Droth Wranglers, which I think is quite good. And if you also picked up the new Warcry set for the Gorgers, so the Ogre side of things, then they're going to be doing a new army themed very much around them, which I think is quite nice as well. So they're pulling in lots of different things from all sorts of different games that they've done in order to continue the storyline and play around with it. And if you're interested in Warhammer Age of Sigmar and you like following along with the storyline, brand new book and everything for that, which is good. So yeah, very nice.
Very fancy.
Yeah, you too can play as Space Marines in your fantasy game.
I mean, why not?
Exactly.
Isn't that what the kids want? Yeah, that's what they tell me. Nobody wants to do difficult things like try and get actual humans to survive against an influx of terrible demonic entities. Yeah. Just throw some empty suits of armor at them. Zinch warriors, that's all they are. Stormcast Eternals, just Zinch. Just Thousand Suns. Fantasy Thousand Suns. You should all be purged. Somebody fetch me a real wizard and some real humans.
Is there an equivalent Exterminatus in the fantasy realms? Oh, wait.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it's when they blew up the old world. That was the equivalent. And this is where we've ended up. So let's not do that again.
Throwing Galmaraz at something and it just probably explodes.
It all explodes all of the time. Right. Some new terrain.
Yeah. So a couple of additional bits and pieces just to cleanse the Warhammer palette as we move on. But also, this could potentially be quite useful for some Warhammer 40,000 games. So there's a company called Chromacut Studio who are going to be coming to Kickstarter very soon with their range of battle-ready terrain, battle-ready buildings for you to use on the tabletop. So these are going to be MDF terrain kits that they're working on. That will be pre-colored, pre-patterned, as you can see there. So you basically just slap them together using this sort of jigsaw-style pieces, and they're ready to go on the tabletop. They've been made, essentially, as you can guess, to be quick and easy to assemble to use in your games. And the first array of stuff is very much focused towards kind of like grimdark stuff for use in games like Warhammer 40,000 and beyond. or Grimdark Future if you're playing on Paint Rules and stuff, which would be nice. They're going to be doing lots of those kind of like L-shaped style ruins and things like that. They're going to be doing walls and containers. They've also said they're going to be doing some big centerpiece elements as well, which are going to be used on the tabletop, which I think is quite nice. That's kind of a little bit of a way,
how the
look at the layout and stuff like that.
That's interesting. I'm assuming that those are objective
counters.
Yeah, because you've also got a little measuring widget there.
Range ruler, which is nice.
Fancy.
But I really like the look of this stuff. I think it looks really nice. It doesn't look too cartoony, which is one of the things that I think a lot of people sometimes get with pre-painted stuff. I like that they've done additional work to kind of play around with the darkness and feel of the terrain to kind of, where shadows would be. They've kind of enhanced that in different places.
Yeah, where you can see around the window frames there, where you would have it at the top.
Yeah, I think it's been really well done. They've also said the coloring process, if this is important to you folks, is a resin bonded inking system. So it should make it very hard wearing. So even if you're not somebody who is going to be gluing all of this stuff together, if you're taking it apart and putting it together quite a lot, it still shouldn't show any wear and tear, which I think is quite nice. And I really like the selection of stuff they've done so far. They've said that they're going to be doing, I think it's, they said their commander pledge that they're working on, which kind of be like the one that you should focus on for the Kickstarter campaign, will give you enough to cover a table, essentially. So I think the next step really when it comes to this is looking at what they do for the campaign and how expensive it is. Because if it's a reasonable price, I can see a lot of people picking this up, especially for clubs or tournament play and that kind of thing, to make quick and easy tabletops. So yeah, very nice.
You see, this type of terrain is what I would always have called the tournament ready type of terrain, where if you're wanting to set up, say, 10 tables for a tournament, get a whole chunk of this. Everything looks nice and consistent at the same level, and you don't have a ridiculous amount of work to do to get ready for it.
Just do the same by 2 blocks of unpainted polystyrene. It's good enough. It's good enough for 40k players. It's all they deserve.
Jerry's level. Other people's level.
That's not my level. That was the grand tournament in London with like 400 odd participants.
Oh, geez, really?
Yep.
There was like 2 lovely tables, and then everything else was polystyrene.
Yeah, everything else was polystyrene as far as I can say. You don't need. It's like War Machine players going. You don't need 3D terrain. You just need 2D. They went the other way. We do need 3D terrain, but it doesn't need to be printed or painted or anything clever. It just needs to be a block. But we've already seen very similar style for World War II from MicroArts. And I think their sci-fi does the same thing now as well. So nice to see that the option is there from another company for,
and more options is always good.
40k fans, because it's a very distinct look. Is it something I would put down the table for other games? Probably not. But if your sole game is 40k Warcry type of things, Kill Team, it's all spot on for that.
But if this is their first offering, there's nothing to say that later on they might not do stuff that's a bit better for other game systems too. So
I think
to watch.
They have plans to do like generic fantasy stuff and all sorts of different things. And if you're making castle ruins and that kind of thing, that's part and parcel of pretty much any fantasy game, really. So yeah, we'll see what they do.
Fancy, right? History.
Yes, that's also a genre.
Have a look at some historical stuff before all the people have poked their eyes out because of the constant 40k.
Is this like one cookie for Jerry? You get one cookie this week?
Yeah. So one of the companies that I really love is 1898 Miniaturas, and we have looked at their stuff in the past. They did the really good French Foreign Legion bits, but over the last little while as well, they've also been expanding their 30 Years War collection. And one of the most anticipated releases of the last couple of months has been the French Cavalry, and they are now available for you to dive into and pick up. And they look gorgeous.
Look how sexy they are.
Straight off the bat, I love the horse poses. Actual charging horses. I will say it consistently. If you're going to be making a cavalry unit that is meant to be charging into battle or running around the field, I don't want them cantering. I don't want them on parade. I want them to be charging around like Billy-O, and these have definitely got that in spades. As they break down between the different sets, you've got a couple of different ones to choose from. The first one is the French Cavalry Command set. So you get your sort of leader figures if you want to use them in your games. And then beyond that, they've kind of set them into 2 design styles. So you have breastplate wearing cavalry, and then you have buff coat wearing cavalry. And then for both of those sets, there is some armed with swords, and then there are some armed with pistols. So you could either then use these to make very specific units if you wanted to, or you could do as they've done in the preview image, play around with like a whole mix of them together and just make a nice mixed unit of cavalry charging across the battlefield, which I think is quite nice, because all your different soldiers would have been armed and armored differently and things on the tabletop, which is good.
Oh god, yeah.
And
these are,
I think,
absolutely cracking.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
The level of detail they go into with all of their sculpts is right up there, and it's a really nice thing. Haven't had a look on the website yet, specifically for the 30 Years' War, but I know when they've done any of the other sets, they always have like a historical rundown. Here's where the sculpts come from, here's what they would have been equipped with, here's how they would have fought, blah, 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 blah. So you get like a potted history, so you don't have to go trawling through dozens of books yourself. You can just get that. I imagine there's probably something very close to it, because they're very on board with the historical side of things. And obviously, I mean, if you don't want to play 30 Years' War, these could be very gently nudged across the channel and join some Cavaliers for King and Country.
They've got lovely feathery hats.
Lovely feathery hats. Look at the slashed silk and stuff. I mean, it's they are terrific.
But yeah, as you're saying, Jerry, this joins their exceptional range of miniatures, including like for this stuff they've done like lovely Spanish tercios and all sorts of different things. So if you're interested in this period of warfare, they've definitely got it covered. But if you haven't seen their stuff for the French Foreign Legion and that kind of era as well, definitely go and check that out, because it is gorgeous.
Go full Beaugest. In fact, they have a Beaugest model. I don't know if you can still get him. I know I think he was a limited edition. He was a limited edition for the army packs, but because that brings me back to my youth as well. Beaugest on TV, huh? None of you have a clue what I'm talking about. I'm just going to look at the horses for a little while.
I've seen the pictures.
Wait for the future generations, Jerry, because they'll know even less about it.
Oh my god, it's a really good set of books. Good film. Terrific TV series. Go do some research. Go kids, go. We shall return in just a moment to round out the show.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
All right, we're back. It's time for some Kickstarters. And we're going to be kicking things off with Doomsong.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to put my hand up right now and say I did go in on this one.
Right.
How dare you?
How very dare you?
So it's a question of which of me and Jerry has went deeper on it.
So
I'm betting Jerry.
Probably me at the minute, because last night it was like £10,999. I was like, oh, that's annoying. So I upped my pledge by £1 to get it to be a nice round number.
So Doomsong, Lord have mercy upon us, and Doomsong, the role-playing game in general. What is it? So it is a role-play macabre, as they say in the subtitle there, where you're going to be taking on the role of gravediggers, who are trying to make sure that the dead stay dead in a world that has suffered something of a biblical apocalypse, as they say. It's done by the Caesars, and Morgan is the other person who's involved with this as well. But it also features the art by Mortis Krebs, who a lot of people will know for doing amazing work within the world of role-playing games and beyond. As I say, the general premise of the game is that you take on the role of gravediggers, who are, in some cases, forced to take up the profession, and in some cases, really quite like it. And you are thrust out into the world with no word of a lie, probably just your shovel, to try and combat the terrible, monstrous beasts and all sorts of strange creatures that dwell out in the lands around you. In the particular Kickstarter bundle that they've put together for Doomsong, you also get the campaign that you saw there, which is Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, where you'll be taking on one of the big bads that is also represented in miniatures form by a lovely sculpt by
Filthy Traitor Gods.
Yeah, so this is the Traitor God Father Plague, who you are trying to destroy by taking away the power of their various scions from around the world of, well, the area of Leith that you're fighting in and stuff like that. So yes, very fun idea for a role-playing game if you're interested in games of a similar style like Mörkburg and stuff like that. Yeah. Then this is going to be, as Jerry would say, right up your Strasse.
Very much so.
I might put my spade right up there, Strasse.
Exactly, yes. One of the nice things about this game that I really enjoy is the sort of life path system that you get in character creation. It's really fun running through that. There are videos that Caesar Inc. have done themselves, but also if you watch our Let's Play, the first 20 minutes, half an hour or so of that,
half an hour is
dedicated to going through character creation, which is very cool. Putting your
guild squad together, because at the end of character creation you then all get roped in and it maps out who knows who from where and when, and who is better that somebody didn't get a medal for bravery, just things like that.
See, one of the key things I love about that character creation is you can take like major life-altering injuries before you even start the adventure. Oops, I lost an arm, damn it,
I thought I was going to be a bowman. Tough luck.
You've got another one.
No, Ben, you're fine. Just don't lose a leg. You can use your feet.
That's true. Yeah, like the Chinese did.
Swap to javelins.
Yeah. So you've got that amazing life path system in there, but then the actual core mechanics of Doomsong are really fun. So it's more or less based on a D6 mechanic that you'll be rolling. 5s are your successes that you're trying to hit, and there'll be various
positive and
pluses and minuses that will come through depending on the situations that you put yourselves in and the way that
and how relevant your skills are.
Exactly, yeah. But then the other thing that's really awesome about this is the combat system. So it doesn't work like I think any initiative system that I've seen previously that I've played personally. Instead of, as you can see there, instead of rolling for initiative, what you do is you have a table that has like descending dice numbers from 1 through to 6. Well, ascending, I suppose, from 1 through to 6. And you'll, as a group, determine where you're going to act in that order. So do you go for quick, hasty actions so that you get your attacks in, before other people can? Or do you wait later on in the initiative to try and do something a little bit more focused, a little bit more specialized in order to get get one up on the enemy, but suffer the attacks of the enemy in the process of doing so? It's really fascinating, and it was really cool when we did the Let's Play to think about how that works in sort of like a smaller combat when you're coming against little tiny gremlins and that kind of thing. How do you act in those? Oh, they're not necessarily going to be too much of a threat. Let's all go for something a little bit more hasty. And then you come up against a boss creature and you're like, okay, we need to like wait and see what this thing does. Do we go later so that we can, get some big special attacks in and that kind of thing? And it's a really fascinating system that I think is the like key selling point of this game beyond the amazing lore and stuff that they put together for this. And what's even better is that if you are like, this sounds intriguing, there is a huge free demo that you can get from Drive-Thru-RPG,
like
which allows you to dive pages in, and you can go through all of the character creation stuff. You can dive into learning all about the different mechanics, and there's a full adventure at the back of it as well for you to play through, which is just awesome. So they've definitely pushed the boat out at Caesar Inc. when it comes to getting people involved in this one.
Oh, we haven't even talked about the Doom coin. Doom.
Oh my god,
that is such a key component of it.
Yeah, because often you feel like a GM's picking on you. Well, now you know they're picking on you, but they're picking on you because you've been doomed. And the way you get doomed is whenever you've rolled your dice, and it's a dice pool game. So you roll your dice, and then you find out you've just scraped by with a success, or maybe you've failed. But the Doom coin, when you flip it, you can increase the level or decrease the level if you fail.
Yeah.
And so if you flip the coin and you get that failure turns into a success, or the success turns into a critical success, but alternatively it could become a critical failure. And then the Doom coin stays with you until somebody else around the table flips the coin and the Doom moves to them. And it means when somebody gets attacked, or when a random party member has a corpse fall out of the sky on their head, then you know who to drop it on. Jack. But the Doom coin's really nice because it's always there, it's lurking. The option is yours, whether or not you want to push the Doom coin to try and get the extra level, and maybe early on you don't want to, later on you probably are going to have to. However, if you run into certain things like very trivial or super impossible tasks, things you couldn't physically actually do, the GM may go, no, you can roll it, but you have to flip the Doom coin. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the points where all of a sudden all bets are off.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
And
you're attempting a heroic feat, so
and as you can see there, the Doom coin samples. So they had some done with and without green enamel. And I quite like the fact that they went with green enamel because it looks great.
Yeah.
See, I would like just one side with the green enamel, the other side with the black.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
Like what you're saying.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's it.
So
you've got the Doom on one side is all black, and then you've got
the crown,
the crown, which is betterer. The two books are monumental as well. So one of them is just the rules, and the other one is the 300 odd page Lord Have Mercy Upon Us campaign. So, but they've done Labyrinth and they've done Dark Crystal. So
gorgeous books as well.
And they have taken various keys from that. So those books have a lot of, especially the Dark Crystal, there's like overlaid pages and weird things that happen with the book. And they've used some of that in that the page numbers have got or rather the page border have got random numbers printed down both sides. And when you flip out the dust cover, it has a list of like things that you'll might encounter in this particular area. So when you roll a d20, the 10 may be on here on one page and you'll get a plague rat. On another page, the 10 might be at the top and you get some sort of monstrous kraken. So it's a very quick way of adding things without having to have loads of tables. You just have that dust cover, and then the pages themselves sort of direct you to what would be in the area that you might run into. So you might find some creatures wouldn't be here at all. But yeah, this is, I think this is one continent and one of the traitor gods who murdered Big Daddy God.
Yeah, so I think it's Leith, isn't it? It's the place that you're fighting in at the moment. But
you can see
I also like
the numbers and then what you'll meet. So it's little arrows coming across.
Very good.
Yeah, I do also like that in this world, your magic users are bad people. You're not allowed magic. If you use magic, the people who are employing you are just like, no, you're not meant to do that. Yeah, that's unnatural.
Keep it safe.
It's best to kill them all up as quickly as humanly possible. But yeah, stunning stuff. Well worth having a look at.
Lots of nice options for accessories as well.
There are no stretch goals.
Mm-hmm.
This is all about just publishing the book. Or in this case, pair of books, and by God, they're big books. So you've got options, PDF only or the whole 9 yards for the Doomsong that comes with the tarot deck and the cloth mat. And
the tarot deck is very tempting as an add-on.
Yeah, lovely stuff for GMs and things.
And there's even a diary. We haven't even talked about the desk diary, which contains the days and months of.
Today I was doomed.
I can't remember. P&M, I think maybe might be the name of the place. But it has the seasons and the holidays that you would actually find within that world. So when your party goes, what day of the week is it? It's a Mickle Day. Okay, Mickle Day is my least favorite day. I've always hated Mickle Days, but at least it's a good season. So
So
that's all in there.
One of the things that was also popped up as part of the campaign is that they have said that they're going to take the world of Doomsong and make it and sort of fit it in with the mechanics of both 5th edition and also Forbidden Lands. So that's the Wizard of the Coast game, obviously, and then the one from Free League, which is also a very nice role-playing game. Obviously, it's great that those options exist, but I think one of the key things that's integral to Doomsong is those mechanics that they've put together for it, and I think it works beautifully with the themes and the aesthetic and the style of role-play game you're playing. So before you're like, I'll just wait for that, honestly, give the quick start. Well, I say quick start, it's huge. Give that demo a go because it'll really get you in the vibe for it. And then obviously watch our Let's Play and everything as well and see what you think of the game.
I'm hoping the D20 conversion is just one line at the start of the book going, just roll D20. Try and hit a 20, mate.
Yeah.
Well, no, not if you're in the bogs of Shoggoth, because that might bring out the worst beastie.
That's true.
I'm not worried about that. They're easily killable.
Yeah. I made a sort of allusion to Morkborg earlier as well. And one of the criticisms of that game is that it's all style and no substance. This very much is style and substance. Looking at it, it's got lots of depth to it and all that kind of thing. So if you were maybe put off by Morkborg and you wanted to try something in the same vein, definitely have a look at Doomsong and what Caesar Inc. are doing, because it's really cool.
And the little figure for the player.
Oh, yes. Andrew May's figure. Yeah.
He can hold on to the Doom coin when you're not playing Doomsong. So you can just sit there staring at you with his
or
cool
you just sit him in the middle of the table with the Doom coin and be like, whatever you will take it.
But you can actually just use him on that nice cloth map to mark where your party is in the world.
Also a good idea. Yeah.
Creeping around, following you like Monty Python and Holy Grail. Right, we have another Kickstarter
we do.
to take a look at. Planes of Terror for the Wiki Wiki Wawa from 3D Breed Miniatures.
Yeah, so 3D Breed Miniatures, back again with another campaign. This one, Planes of Terror, is all sort of suited and booted for the Halloween season, as you might have guessed. They've previously done some really gorgeous Wild West miniatures for the Join or Die range. But this time around, they've added the weird to the Wild West with a whole host of new 3D printable miniatures in 32mm scale. Obviously, you can scale things up and down as when you like, for you to use in your various games. So the newest section of models focus on the vampire hunters and the vampires. So if you wanted to do your own sort of what's it called? Dead by Dawn.
Dead
by Daylight.
What's it called?
Deadlands?
No,
Dracula's America,
but never mind. Anyway, it'll come back to me when I least
Vampire in
expect
Brooklyn.
If you wanted to play out your Deadlands games or anything like that, then you could pick up some amazing miniatures for use in that game, or you could use them for Curse of Dead Man's Hand if you wanted to go down that route as well. They've got the vampire hunters, you've got the vampire gang, as you saw. They've done the zombies, which were unlocked via stretch goals, and also the demons and cultists. They've also got like a Chinese railroad workers warband as well coming down the line, as well as an Apache group as well. So if you wanted to play as the Native Americans, you've got that option too, which is really nice to see. Obviously, it's all 3D printable, so it comes at a very nice cost, all in all, and they should print up very nicely. If you're interested in working out if the quality's for you, you can download a free miniature. Loads of free things in these Kickstarters. So we want to rock things out with a very nice, awesome voodoo chap. And you've got that option there with the lovely snake around his arm.
Full Baron Samdi.
Yeah. Paint that skull thing on his face.
I think he has friends on the other side.
Yeah. So yeah, loads of awesome stuff in this one for you to pick up. They've already unlocked a whole host of different things that you tend to get with these 3D printing Kickstarters. As you can see, the Wendigos in there. Oh yeah. And some nuns. They could be evil or good. You choose.
Either way.
Play around them as you will.
Oh, I like the idea of a mad scientist.
Yes.
And monster.
Yes.
Will it
perhaps
be
a Dr. Frank?
Yeah.
Frankenstein, please. It's pronounced Frankenstein.
So really great stuff there for setting up scenarios for the spooky season.
No pictures of the things that are coming. Oh,
and
I just have to imagine.
I'll eventually remember that movie that I'm thinking.
Oh, it was a movie you were looking for?
Yeah.
Right.
With George Clooney, and it was
Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn. Oh my God.
One of the times Quentin Tarantino was really weird.
Yes. Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino wasn't really weird.
If you wanted to do one of your own versions of that, you could pick up some of these models and have some fun with it in the sort of Wild West era. That'd be really cool.
Quentin Tarantino was playing to form in that one. That's all. Rodriguez did the second half of it, where it went really weird. The heist movie at the start, that was Quentin, and then the weird stuff at the end, that was all Robert.
Yeah,
but these
I
are
really want
these
to
are
do
really
a
nice
sex machine model now as well, so you can.
Well, and again, that's due to Robert, because that came from not Mariachi. What was the remake of the Mariachi?
The Mariachi and the Desperado.
Oh, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, was it?
No, Desperado.
And then Once Upon a Time. That was the Once Upon a Time in Mexico was the third one, wasn't it? I think in that series.
Yeah, I think so.
These would be great
Good
if you want to do something Silver Bayonet-esque.
Oh yeah,
in the Wild West.
Dracula's America as well. Good for that.
So what we call it, Silver Revolver.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Nobody can stop me.
There's something so badass about a dude who has a gun and a sword. I don't know what it is, but
okay.
you've got like a full-blown Templar medieval sword and then your revolver at the same time, loaded with silver bullets.
I was thinking,
it's just so cool.
This guy with his two stoats or
rats.
rats or weasels or whatever they are. That'd be the one I was looking at.
There was a show I watched years ago where it was set in the Old West, but there was a bounty hunter in it who was basically a Viking.
Wow.
He was basically an Old West Viking hunting someone down.
That
Can't remember the name of the show.
Oh, nice. I love the sound of it. But yeah, very cool.
Who knows?
So yeah,
who knows how that one goes? That'll be interesting to see because the reward levels are relatively small, aren't they? Yeah, $40 or €40, whatever that is, 30 quid.
Gets you pretty much everything.
35. I can't read that. 35.
Mm-hmm.
Gets you the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
I suppose it makes sense.
Delivery in November, which is pretty nice.
Yeah,
well,
it's all digital files.
It's all
isn't
digital.
So,
it has to by Kickstarter's new terms of service.
Yeah.
You've no time to waste. But 10 grand already, I imagine by the time it hits the end of that in another 3 weeks, they'll have unlocked everything. Yeah. the mad scientist, his laboratory, the nuns, all of that. We'll see them all. Yeah. It'll be good times. So, yes, 25 days for the Plains of Terror, 13 days for Doomsong, Lord Have Mercy Upon Us, both funded.
Yes.
Fill your boots with whatever one you prefer. And I'm going to go and fill my boots now. I'll get ready for Sunday, where we shall return for the Cult of Games over on tabletop.com. You can join us there with a 30-day trial if you aren't already a cultist. Who knows what we'll be up to on Sunday morning. There may be Space Wolves in the future, though. Maybe. Who knows? Obviously, if you want to win that big table's worth of stuff from Mantic, comment over on Tabletop on this video.
Can I win? No.
Oh,
okay.
No, you can't. But I'm glad you asked rather than just sock puppeting it. Right. So we will see you next week. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.